Hello, hello.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, good evening to all. So now we'll start now. Just wait 2 to 3 minutes. We'll start. Starting now. Just
Okay,
wait.
sir.
Okay. Okay. Good evening to all. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. So to start now. uh, so today to start, as you know, that block 7. So tomorrow to wind up the entire schedule, that is block 8. So today to start block 7, and so welcome to MEG-5 literal criticism and theory, block 7, and topic deconstruction. Topic is deconstruction. So as usual, so now we have to pass on to our discussion. So some short questions means short points. As you know that unless until we just deal with some short points, so it will be very difficult on your part to grasp all these main points or long questions. So it's a must. All these presentations are compulsory and elementary for all of you. Okay, so now let's start with the father of deconstruction. With the father of deconstruction. With the father of deconstruction. Jacques Derrida. Okay, Derrida happens to be, or is the father of deconstruction. Jacques Derrida is the father of deconstruction. Since he published 3 books in 1967 that laid the groundwork for Derrida's deconstruction theory. Okay, laid the groundwork means laid the that foundation for Derrida's deconstruction theory. So Jacques Derrida is the father of deconstruction since he published 3 books So why do we consider? Because he published three books in 1967 that laid the groundwork, means foundation for Derrida's deconstruction theory. So what is the concept of deconstruction? What is the concept of construction? Deconstruction doesn't actually mean demolition. Deconstruction means the ordinary meaning of that word that is known to all of you, the deconstruction. So it doesn't actually mean deconstruction. Instead, it means breaking down or analyzing something, especially towards in a work of fiction or non-fiction. Towards in a work of fiction or non-fiction. To discover its true significance, which is which is supposedly almost never exactly what the author intended. So again repeating, what is the concept of deconstruction? Deconstruction doesn't actually mean demolition. Instead, it means breaking down or analyzing something, especially the words in a work of fiction or non-fiction, to discover its true significance, which is supposedly almost never exactly what the author intended. So, what are the elements of deconstruction? And the features. Only three features are there. We'll discuss later, not now. Just I'm only uttering the three words. What are the elements of deconstruction? Elements of deconstruction. One, different, DIFF, difference, DIFFERANCE, difference, dissemination, and destinarance, and geocatastrophe. These are the four elements that we come across in deconstruction. Difference, dissemination, destinarance, and geocatastrophe. These four. Then what are the two aspects of deconstruction? What are the two aspects of deconstruction? Deconstruction has at least two aspects. So it has two aspects, literary and philosophical. Remember, deconstruction has two aspects. One is literary, another is philosophical. The literary aspect concerns the textual interpretation where invention is essential to finding hidden alternative meanings in the text. Again speaking, the literary aspect concerns the textual interpretation where involved invention is essential to finding hidden alternative meaning in the text. Then, what is the main point of deconstruction theory? What is the main point of deconstruction theory? Deconstruction challenges Deconstruction challenges the way we interpret meaning. Deconstruction challenges the way we interpret. So it's a very difficult discussion. We can't elaborate everything here in the online mode. Had it been offline, then it would have been discussed, exchanged. Or just listen. Uh, so deconstruction challenges the way we interpret meaning. It defines the central meaning and marginalized meaning. It defines the central meaning and the marginalized meaning of a work. Central meaning and the marginalized meaning of a work. Changes the position of those meanings and therefore shows that the marginalized meanings could just as early become the central meaning. In this way, meaning is shown to be unstable. In this way, meaning is shown to be unstable. So deconstruction, it is loosely defined. Meaning of deconstruction, it is loosely defined set of approach to understand the relationship between text and meaning. As earlier I told, it shows the way we interpret the meaning. Deconstruction challenges the way we interpret the meaning. Okay, so central meaning and marginalized meaning. So deconstruction is a loosely defined set of approach to understand the relationship between text and meaning. It is the concept of Derrida. Concept of deconstruction was introduced by Jacques. So it was introduced by Jacques Derrida. So what does deconstruction mean in literature? So you just now knew the father of reconstruction and the main points or main features, everything in nutshell. So what does deconstruction in literature? Deconstruction doesn't mean demolition. As earlier I told, deconstruction doesn't mean demolition. Instead, it means breaking down or analyzing something, especially the words in a work of fiction, non-fiction, to discover its true significance. So that's the same meaning. Uh, so deconstruction argues that logical structure based on binaries or binary pairs. We'll discuss what is binary opposition. That's the short question coming under this discussion. What is binary discussion? We'll discuss later. So deconstruction argues that logical structure based on binary pairs are the bones of society and language. A binary consists of two concepts. A binary consists of two concepts that are presented as being at odds with each other. Example include life, death. Odds means odd it is, two opposite. Life, death, mind, body. Okay, so two opposite presented as being at odds with each other. And masculine, feminine. Okay, two opposite sides. So that is called binary. So that I discussed with you. What is the meaning of just earlier I told that deconstruction, the elements of deconstruction means there are four elements: difference, dissemination, destinance, and geocatastrophe. So now just I'm explaining that each of them. So at first, difference. What do you mean by difference? Difference means that is it is a French term that the elements of deconstruction. Difference means, so it's a French term coined by Derrida. Jacques Derrida. As you know, Jacques Derrida is the father of deconstruction. He is the father of deconstruction because already published three books in 1967, which laid the foundation or groundwork for Derrida's deconstruction theory. That's why he is regarded as the father of reconstruction. Difference means, so it's a French term coined by Jacques Derrida. It is a central concept in Derrida's deconstruction. But difference, DIFFERANCE. So it is a central concept in Derrida's deconstruction. A critical outlook concerned with the relationship between text and meaning. As earlier I told, I am saying, so it challenges the way we interpret meanings in a text. It challenges the way we interpret meanings in a text. So uh, it is concerned with. So it is concerned with the relationship between text and its meaning. The term difference means difference and differential of meaning. The term difference means difference and differential of meaning. Then dissemination, different than dissemination. So four elements. Dissemination means the act or fact of spreading something, especially widely information widely. The dissemination of a public information spreading spreading circulation. Then destinarians. Dissemination means that's a fact of spreading something, especially information widely. We have to that spread the information widely everywhere. Means for public information. For public information, how to spread everywhere. That is called dissemination. Disseminate, spread. Then this destination means it is spatio-temporal because, like many of Derrida's key terms, so it is a spatial figure for time. It names a fatal possibility of erring by not reaching a predefined temporal goal in terms of wandering away from a predefined spatial goal. So spatio-temporal means, as I told, destination means it is a spatio-temporal. So what is spatio-temporal? Spatio-temporal means spatio. So I am suffering from extreme cold now. So spatio-temporal means physics, philosophy belonging to both space, physics, and time or to space time. Synonyms. Spatio-temporal means that belonging to both space and time or to space time. Synonyms. Comprehensive, overreaching, including all or everything. Belonging to both space and time. That is the spatio-temporal. Spatial means relating to or occupying space. Spatial means relating to or occupying space. And geocatastrophe means a major destructive upset in the balance of nature, especially when caused by the actions of humans. Geocatastrophe means a major destructive upset in the balance of nature, especially when caused by the actions of humans. So, uh, what are the three types of, okay. Uh, so these are the that sub points that we come across in now to discuss some other things. First, wait. So in that's in deconstruction. At the very outset, we just witness that the very important part of the reconstruction is that is new criticism and structuralism. New criticism, so it's one important part. Okay, so new criticism and structuralism. Okay, with the first point coming in deconstruction, literary criticism. The new criticism is a school of criticism that dominated in America. As it is coming under deconstruction at the very outset, so we have to discuss. Just only know some lines about that. The new criticism is a school of criticism. The new criticism is a school of criticism that dominated in America in the mid decade of the 20th century. It stresses upon close reading. But new criticism, it that came into being uh, in America in the mid decades of the 20th century. It stresses upon or gives emphasis on close reading, particularly for poetry. Particularly for poetry, that is new criticism. This is because new criticism tends to discover how literature tends to discover how literature function as a self-contained function as a self-contained because here new criticism close reading particularly for poetry who new criticism stresses upon means gives emphasis on close reading particularly for poetry. So this is because new criticism tend to discover how literature function as a self-contained. So now we have to know the meaning of this expression self-contained. Self-contained means of a thing, complete or having all that is needed in itself. Every section of the painting is self-contained, means independent. Here self-contained means of a thing complete, not incomplete, or having all that is needed in itself. Means everything is complete, independent. Nothing have been left out. Or we can also express independent of a person not depending or influenced by others. He is very self-contained, means independent. He is very self-contained, means independent. Okay, so that is self. This is because new criticism tend to discover how literature function as a self-contained, means independent, self-independent, self-referential, self-contained. Remember, self-contained means independent. Self-referential means especially of a literary or other creative work, making reference to itself, its author or creator or their other works. Self-referential means If we are taking a creative work into account, so we have to discover its author or creator or other works. That is self-referential uh, aesthetic object. Self aesthetic means concerned with beauty or appreciation of beauty. Self-referential aesthetic object. The movement came to birth as a result of the publication of John Crew Ransom's book, The New. That movement, which movement? That this new criticism movement, new criticism movement came to birth as a result of the publication of John Crew Ransom's book, The New Criticism. Added to this publication was a great input to the English scholars. I. Richards, Practical Criticism and the Meaning of Meanings, a prominent icon in the school of T.S. Okay, all these are the productions. We find the doctrine of new criticism in all these productions of I. A. Richards' Practical Criticism. We find also some ideas or statements about new criticism uh, and the meaning of meanings. A prominent icon of this, a prominent icon means a devotional painting of Christ or another holy figure, image idol, icon. So that is the icon of this school was T.S. Eliot in this critical essay, tradition and the individual talent, Hamlet and its problems. Okay, all these. So new criticism is a philosophy of literary interpretation. Now just I am dealing with new criticism. Okay, so some lines about new criticism. New criticism is a philosophy of literary interpretation that stresses on the importance of studying the text as a complete work of art. Just again repeating. New criticism is a philosophy of literary interpretation that stresses on the importance of studying the text as a complete work of art. As already discussed, it is self-referential or self that is content function as a self-contained, self-referential aesthetic object. So, complete work of art. In a simple term, in simple term, new criticism is the kind of movement that propagates the idea of art for art's sake. The idea for art for art's sake. To them, means for a new critics, to them, art is complete in itself and do not need to dig deep on history, philosophy.
Excuse me, sir. Could you please repeat the line?
Okay. So, in a simple term, new criticism is the kind of movement that propagates and strongly believes the idea of art for art's sake, propagates the idea of art for art's sake. To them, when to the new critics, other transformer new critics, to them, art is complete in itself. Art is complete in itself and do not need to dig deep, dig, on history. Means art should not go to bring something or extract something from history. Philosophy to understand a piece of work. structuralism, because new criticism and structuralism. So why are we discussing new criticism? Because it is coming under this deconstruction, the very first important discussion. New criticism and structuralism. So structuralism, even such even such school of criticism is a reaction against the other schools. Every school of criticism is a reaction against the other schools. Struct, uh, Structuralism started in France. Started in France. So new criticism that I told started in that America dominated criticism that dominated in America. So structuralism started in France in the early 1950 by the French anthropologist uh, Lévi-Strauss, Lévi-Strauss and literary critic Roland Barthes. So it is very difficult to define structuralism in a sentence, but its definition becomes a thing of necessity. Then you can say that structuralism is the belief that nothing can be understood in isolation. They must be seen in a larger structure. Unlike new criticism, which believe that meaning is found in the text, structuralism opposed this notion, saying that meaning is always an attribute of things. Meaning is always an attribute of things which is in human mind. For example, John Donne's work, Valediction Forbidding Morning. From a structuralism point of view, this poem cannot be understood if one has no clear notion of the genre. Genre means a time or period. Donne's poem fall under two John's poem fall under two poetic terms such as uh, these poetic two poetic forms. These poetic forms dates back from 13th century in which lovers lament at the approach of daybreak because it symbolizes parting. From this information about Donne, one can see that a structuralist approach is taking one further and further away from the text into a large question of genre, philosophy, and even history rather than a close look at the text. Structuralism is incomplete without mentioning the structural linguist. Structuralism is incomplete without mentioning the structural linguist. Ferdinand de Saussure. He came up with the idea that language is a sign system and the sign system is made of, of unchanging patterns and rules. Saussure means Ferdinand de Saussure. Saussure summarizes because he's the father of structuralism. So, Saussure, not Derrida father of deconstruction, but I'm speaking of structuralism. So, Ferdinand de Saussure, he came up with the idea that language is a sign system. And this sign system is made up of unchanging patterns and rules. Saussure summarizes linguistic uh, structure as follows. Saussure, because the father of structuralism is Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, so according to him, the meaning we give to a word is purely arbitrary. The meaning we give to a word is purely arbitrary. Jam means you know. Jam means pronounced GNRE. Jam means a style or category of art, music or literature. Arbiter means just coming, just wait. So that Saussure summarizes linguistic structure as follows: the meaning we give to a word is purely arbitrary. Arbitrary means that is uh, based on random based on random choice or uh, personal rather than any region or system. Just wait. So so the meaning just feeling extreme cold. That's why the meaning we give to words means that the meaning we give to a word is purely arbitrary and are maintained by convention. Then two, the meaning we give to words are a relational. The meaning we, at first he told, the meaning we give to a word is purely arbitrary. Purely arbitrary. Arbitrary means based on random choice. Based on random choice rather than any region or system. And second, Saussure told, the meaning we give to words are rational. Rational means concerning the way in which Then Shashat told, the meaning we give to words are relational. Relational means concerned with the way in which two or more people or things are connected. Relational means concerning the way in which two or more people or things are related, understand, or connected. Just example, there was no relational link between the killer and his victim. Understand? There was no relational link between the killer and his victim. Okay, so no, that is no link between two or more people or things. So the meaning we give to words are relational. No word can be treated or defined in isolation. Remember, Sasa told Pannandi Sasa, no word can be treated or defined in isolation, or each word is dependent on its adjoining words. Understand? Means no word is independent. Each word, every word depends on the another word. So treated or defined in isolation, or each word is dependent on its adjoining words. For example, the word mansion. Mansion, you know, M-A-N-S-I-O-N. M-A-N-S-I-O-N. For example, the word mansion in the following words means we can express the word mansion using other words. So what are the other words? They are the synonyms. Hovel, H-O-V-E-L, hovel. Shed, S-H-E-D. Hot, H-O-T, hot. House. Okay. Palace can be defined as a dwelling place. So mansion means dwelling place. So we can use other words in place of this word mansion. Okay. Hot, house, mansion, uh, shed, all this. So that is bigger than a house. That is bigger than a house. So that is. So in a strict sense, structuralism structuralism is the program which uh, Levi stresses, borrowing from structural linguistics, tried to introduce into anthropology. See, in a loose sense, structuralism may refer to the works of those authors, may refer to the works of those authors who deserve to be discussed when speaking about a style of approach which has manifest itself in different ways in different times and places, but which in the history of ideas generally can be traced back to certain writings. Okay, so there are many things because we can't go to discuss everything in detail. So the very first that point that we discussed now, new criticism and structuralism. So now as a little, so it has a some short question also. What is binary opposition? Also, that is coming under this deconst, deconstruction theory. What is binary opposition? Binary opposition is a concept that originated in structuralism. So it is a concept. It came from the word structuralism, a critical theory that can be applied to a variety of disciplines like sociology and anthropology. Again speaking. Binary opposition binary opposition is a concept that originated in structuralism, a critical theory that can be applied to a variety of disciplines like sociology and anthropology. The binary opposition definition, as it is understood in structuralism, is the practice of placing two ideas or concepts in opposing categories in order to study. Okay, so binary opposition definition, as it is understood in structuralism, is the practice of placing two ideas or concepts in opposing categories in order to study how they interact with and function in relation to one another. It is common for people to create binary opposition in real life, which can lead to societal problems of exclusion and oppression. But the concept can also be applied to literature. In literary cases, binary opposition definition usually refers to characters, groups of characters can be divided into groups that are in binary opposition, allowing writers to explore the motivations behind this kind of a categorization and sometimes to deconstruct the potential harm that binary opposition can pose. There are hundreds of examples of binaries in literature. There are hundreds of examples of binaries in literature that often serve different purposes. That often serve different purposes. Sometimes these binary opposition examples are gradually deconstructed to show the harm of binary thinking, to show the harm of binary thinking. While other times binaries serve to enforce the good guys versus bad guys dynamic. Binary opposition is a way to create conflict between characters or groups and allows writers to drive the plot forward. So actually this term binary opposition, it was originally coined in structuralism. This word binary opposition originally coined in structuralism or originated in structuralism, but it is relevant to literature as well. In literary works, binary opposition is usually used to move the plot forward and to examine the consequences of a potentially arbitrary categorizations. So another short question, just we are also getting here in give summary of William Wordsworth afterthought is coming under this that is reconstruction. And also another after means always coming on the structuralism, William Wordsworth afterthought, and that the summary of the poem canonization. All these are coming deconstruction, deconstruction, or deconstruction theory. Because earlier told deconstruction means that it speaks about poetry. Okay, as earlier told you, deconstruction means that is a piece of poetry, fiction or non-fiction. So now to start, that is deconstruction theory. You knew some short questions of deconstruction theory, that is with the father of the aims of the, or the features or main concept, then binary opposition, new criticism, structuralism. So now what is deconstruction theory? We have to discuss what is deconstruction theory. So Derrida's concept of deconstruction is based on the concept of by the German philosopher, is based on the concept uh, of by the German philosopher Martin Heidegger in deconstruction was initially a philosophical proposition. Actually, deconstruction was initially a philosophical proposition that gained a foothold in literary analysis and the interpretation of text in religion, law, and several other social institutions. Today, the term deconstruction is used in mathematics and even gastronomy. So after that, we will discuss that Wordsworth, that the poem, because as earlier I told that criticism that uh, unlike new criticism, which believed that meaning is found in the text, structuralism opposed the notion, saying that meaning is always an attribute of things which is in human mind. For example, John Donne's work, Valediction Forbidding Morning. From a structuralism point of view, this poem cannot be understood if one have no clear notion of the particular time. Donne's poem, and many poems are there. So poetic form. So uh, we have to also know some poems of some poets. After this, origins of deconstruction can be found in Derrida's book Writing and Difference and of Grammatology. Origin of deconstruction can be found in Derrida's book Writing and Difference, 1967, and of Grammatology, 1967. Means Derrida wrote these two books uh, in which we find the entire uh, features of deconstruction and of grammatology. One writing and difference, another is in 1967, and another is grammatology in 1967. The two books, the same year. And the lecture titled Structure, Sign, and Play in Discourse of the Human Sciences, which Derrida gave at Johns Hopkins University in 1966 symposium. Before we delve into the meaning of deconstruction, means go into the meaning of deconstruction, here are some key terms that will make understanding deconstruction slightly easier. So if you are in doubt, what do you mean by deconstruction? As earlier I told, the meaning of deconstruction, it doesn't mean demolition, because deconstruction doesn't mean demolition. Instead, it means breaking down or analyzing something, uh, especially the words in a work of a fiction or non-fiction. Fiction or non-fiction. So that is here are some key terms that will make understanding deconstruction slightly easier. At first is formalism. Formalism. So the key points. These are the key points that we have. If you understand these key points, then you have to know the meaning of this word deconstruction. Because the entire deconstruction revolves around on these key points. One is formalism. It is a critical approach that focuses on the form of a text. Formalism means it is a critical approach. Just wait 2 to 3 minutes. I'm coming, taking some water. Okay, silent. So come on. So now we are discussing the key points of deconstruction. Okay, so it will make you easier to understand. So now formalism. So formalism. So it's a critical approach that focuses on the form of a text instead of its content, and its relationship is to the outside world. Then structuralism. These are the mm, words that key points we find in deconstruction theory, and only we have to expand these points in 2 to 3 sentences. Then structuralism. It was a broader philosophy. It was a broader philosophy and critical approach that emerged in the early 20th century. In literary theory, structuralism focused on the structural and linguistic aspects. In literary theory, structuralism focused on the structure and the linguistic aspect of a text rather than what it represented. Rather than what it represented. Then binary oppositions. Also, it is a key term. These are the key terms that we need to understand deconstruction better. So then binary opposition are two concepts that are set as opposites. Binary means these are two concepts that are set as opposite of each other. For example, light and dark are set as opposites to each other, light and dark, man and woman, nature and culture. Okay, so shades are uh, opposite of each other. Two concepts, two concepts, for that are set as opposites of each other. Then hierarchy. Hierarchy means it's a system. These are the key points. Formalism, structuralism, binary opposition, then hierarchy is a system hierarchy in which things or people are organized into different levels, in which things or people are organized into different levels based on their status or importance. Deconstruction relies on concepts of structural linguistics. Deconstruction relies on concepts of structural linguistics. Then structural linguistics is a branch of linguistics that treats language as a system of interconnected units. Then semiotics. Semiotics means these are the key terms. Is the study of how meaning is generated during the process of communication. Semiotics is the study of how meaning is generated during the process of communication. Then a sign is the basic unit of communication. A sign is the basic unit of communication that refers to anything, word, image, or symbol. Then a sign is the basic unit of communication that refers to anything, word, image, or symbol that carries a meaning. In structural linguistics, the sign is made of a signifier and a signifier. Made of a signifier and a signifier. Then signifier. Then what is signifier and what is signified? We have to know. Signifier is a verbal or a graphic symbol. Is a verbal or a graphic symbol or a code that represents an idea or an object. For example, a word or an image. A word or an image. That is called signifier. Signified means if the object or concept the signifier tries to represent. The object or concept the signifier tries to represent. That is signified. Then signified is the object or concept the signifier tries to represent. Derrida identified that Western thinking is premised or not on or dominated by certain concepts such as this phonocentrism. Derrida identified that Western thinking is premised on or dominated by certain concepts such as phonocentrism. Phonocentrism means if the idea that a speech or sound is superior to the written word. Phonocentrism means if the idea that speech or sound is superior to the written word. Then logocentrism, derived from the Greek word logos, which means word or region, refers to the inclination in Western thought to privilege the word over what it stands for. Then phallogocentrism, phonocentrism, logocentrism, then phallogocentrism is a new word created by Derrida to describe the tendency to privilege masculinity in the understanding of society and meaning. Phallogocentrism is a new word created by Derrida to describe the tendency to privilege masculinity in the understanding of society and meaning. Then metaphysics is a branch of physics that studies the nature of a reality and the relationship between different aspects of life, such as knowledge, perception, identity, existence, and time. For Derridian deconstruction is sometimes described as Derridian deconstruction is sometimes described as bringing a literary approach to philosophy, a way of reading philosophical texts like literature, using methods of literary analysis. Irrespective of how accurate this view of deconstruction is, Derrida is now a prominent figure in literary analysis and criticism itself. So these were the key words of deconstruction theory by Derrida. Derrida, who coined the term deconstruction, argues that in Western culture, people tend to think and express their thoughts in terms of binary oppositions. Binary means two opposite sides, white, black, masculine, feminine, cause, effect, conscious, unconscious, presence, absence. Okay, split I think. So that's called binary oppositions. Derrida suggests these oppositions Derrida suggests these oppositions are hierarchies in miniature containing one term that Western culture views as positive or superior, another considered negative or inferior, even if only slightly so. Through deconstruction, Derrida aims to erase the boundary between binary oppositions and to do so in such a way that the hierarchy implied by the opposition is known into question. Although its ultimate aim may be to criticize Western logic, deconstruction arose as a response to structuralism and formalism. So it arose as a response to structuralism and formalism. Structuralists believed that all elements of human culture, including literature, may be understood as parts of a system of science. Derrida didn't believe that structuralists could explain the laws governing human signification and thus provide the key to understanding the form and meaning of everything, from an African village to Greek myths to a okay, leave it. Then uh, deconstruction is an apparent revolution against all the literary theories before itself, which it seeks to find the differences, contradictions, paradoxes, ambiguity, and disintegration in the text. In general, we read literary texts in order to establish unity and bring out a meaning based on our entire reading. The deconstructionist, however, reads the text just to find the fault lines. So many things are there. So now the deconstructing poetry also it is another point to discuss. Formalism, structuralism, and deconstruction theory. Then some short questions. So now deconstructive theory, another main point. Deconstructing poetry. Deconstruction has sometimes been championed as if it was a kind of a poetic writing. As earlier I told deconstruction that is a form of poetry also. It's a form of poetry. So, poetic writing. Deconstruction has sometimes been championed as if it was a kind of poetic writing. Though identification identification has encouraged some to relegate demonstration to the shadows or sidelines. In side shows of series of serious philosophy, both tendencies are foolish. Poetry doesn't come, doesn't arrive, and doesn't happen except by way of the announcement of its disappearance. Poetry as a diction evokes another. Poet serve as kind of radio able to collect transmission from the invisible world. Deconstruction is a philosophy, and so it is applicable to all fields of life. So to say, so before making a deconstructive criticism of Jayanta Mahapatra's Hunger, the poem Hunger, because now we are discussing deconstructive poetry. That's why we are going to discuss the poems of Wordsworth and John Donne and others here also. So it's a deconstructive poetry. Before deconstructive poetry, deconstructive drama, these are the points to be discussed, important points. Structuralism, usually said to me. In this, as it's a very difficult discussion, so in this discussion, you just come prepared these points. Some sub-points of deconstruction, as earlier I told at the very beginning, at the very outside. Then new criticism, structuralism, then deconstructive theory, then that's your uh, binary oppositions. Then now discussing deconstructing theory. Deconstructing theory. Sorry, poetry. Deconstructing poetry. That's why we have to discuss the poems of Wordsworth, the poems of Donne. So, before making a deconstructive criticism of Jayanta Mahapatra's Hunger, it is customary to represent the argument of the poem under review. Broadly speaking, the argument of the poem just mentioned runs thus. In the first stanzas, the speaker confesses that one day he was consumed with fleshly desires. A fisherman whom he meets by chance offers him his daughter for his sensual enjoyment in exchange for a few rupees. So this is the story of Jayanta Mahapatra's hunger. Okay. Now I'm speaking you the story of Jayanta Mahapatra's hunger. The first stanza. So why am I discussing with you this poetry? Because I am discussing with you deconstructing poetry. So here, just we are getting the names of some poets along with their poems also. So the first stanza, the speaker confesses that one day he was consumed with fleshly desires, with hunger. Jayant Mahapatra's hunger. The speaker confesses that one day he was consumed with fleshy desires. A fisherman whom he meets by chance offers him his daughter for his sensual enjoyment in exchange for a few rupees. The fisherman speaks very uh, casually to the speaker while making the bargain. Being poor, he is in need of money. He has no other way but to sacrifice the growth of his daughter to serve his purpose. In the next stanza, the bargain being finalized. Understand? So here that the fisherman, as is very poor, so he tries to sell his wife to another person. So in just giving his or hand, uh, after handing over his that to another one, in its turn, he is getting some money to sustain his life because very poor. So in the next stanza, the bargain is being means the bargain is there to take some money and hand over your daughter. So the thing has been finalized. Okay, the bargain has been finalized. The speaker followed the fisherman across the vast sandy shore. The speaker followed the fisherman because pact is between the speaker and the fisherman. So after the bargain finalized, the speaker followed the fisherman across the vast sandy shore. Though the speaker is aware of the enormity of his crime, that he is going to commit, his body is torn with sexual hunger. In the third stanza, the speaker, led by the fisherman, arrives at the latter's cottage. For the speaker, the cottage seems to be wound because he is aware of the sinful act he is going to make. He becomes oblivious of the sense of that wind, the days and the nights. However, the sex hunger torments him and he feels a peace moving and turning inside him. The two types of hunger, hunger for sex on the part of the speaker and hunger for food on the part of the fisherman, become mixed here. Do you get? Do you get me? So hunger for sex that on the part of the speaker and hunger for food on the part of the fisherman are mixed here. Become mixed here. So in the fourth stanza, the fisherman informs the speaker that his daughter is 15 years old. Then he leaves the speaker to feel his daughter, saying that he will come back soon. The speaker has a sense of catastrophe falling on him. The discovery of the tricks in the words and activities of the fisherman shocks the speaker. Okay, uh, this is the story of this poem, uh, Jayant Mahapatra's Hunger. As we are discussing deconstructing poetry, then deconstructing drama, then deconstructing drama. So now deconstructing drama, deconstruction drama or theater, deconstruction drama or theater is a term covering a wide variety of theatrical styles, determined to examine situations from a different or unusual point of view. Based on the theories of French philosopher Jacques Derrida, among others, deconstructionist theater is complicated and difficult to define as any one thing. The goal of the concept is to challenge established assumptions about a subject, but the method of doing so is wide open thing. So basically any theatrical production that challenges an establishment concept in some way can be classed as partially deconstructed. So in the second act, which is also so there are many things about deconstructing a drama. Uh, so you see in today's presentation, you overall knew some basic important points of that is deconstructive theory. That's the end of today's discussion, and nothing more to speak about today. Uh, and about deconstruction drama, about deconstruction drama. So basically, any theatrical production that challenges an established concept in some way can be closed as partially deconstructed. In early Churchill's Cloud, the first act of the play is set in colonial era Africa, where a black character is played by a white man. A docile housewife is played by a man, and a young boy is played by a girl. In the second act, which is 20 years later, for the characters, but more than a century later in setting, a young girl is played by the same actor who played a domineering father in the first act. Confusing as it may sound, the play uses this controversial casting approach to highlight the issues of gender role, stereotyping. In this way, the play is at least partially deconstructed. Okay, so this is you see, uh, these are all about our today's discussion, and nothing more to say. As I am suffering from mental pain because of excess cold, so I'm unable to take the rest. Okay, already everything is complete. Nothing is left out in today's discussion. Some that sub points, short points, main points, everything in short, though not in detail, but in nutshell. So next class will continue another the last module, that is contemporary literary theory. Contemporary literary theory. Okay. So till that, goodbye. Next time, that the last class, uh, will conclude our entire schedule teaching contemporary literary theory. Thank you all.
हेलो अम, क्या कोई है क्लास के अंदर मेरी वॉइस सुन रहा हो? अ, राजीव वर्मा, क्या मुझे बता सकते हैं स्टोरी के अंदर है कि एक्चुअल में सच में कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, जितना भी सुना है। ओके, इट्स नॉट अ स्टोरी, सो इट्स अ पोएम, लाइक इट्स अ पोएट्री टाइप। इफ देयर समथिंग मोर लाइक इसमें और भी कुछ भी है क्या?